All right, welcome to this bi-weekly update on September 29th. We want to celebrate still, and you can see, celebrate still, if you can see it closely here, the Ryder Cup win. I'm wearing white pants today, which when I walked out, my wife said today, I cannot sit, I cannot eat anything, I cannot even think about anything that would stain the pants. So I'll do most of my talk today standing farther back here just so that I don't get my pants dirty. I'm joking with you, quite obviously, but we had a wonderful win this weekend, so my gratitude goes to a team of 12. A team of 12 that gave us an experience that took two of the members who really didn't care for each other, we all thought, to becoming teammates and accomplishing something that hasn't been done in a long time. So that was a wonderful, wonderful item. You know, this is our bi-weekly update. It's a good chance for us to give you ideas on what's hot, what's going on, topics that are on the top of mind, really also just some silly things that I come up with as we go along. So I appreciate you humoring me in those as well. And the seriousness that Zach and Ken bring to the equation, and even Mike you'll find and Kristen today. So I think it's an important piece for us to be able to deliver to you, but I wanted to just express my gratitude in that form to begin with. So I like to go big with those as well. Gratitude as well for fall and autumn. So I love the autumn season. It's a great time to reflect, a time to look back. It's a time to see football games like when you were a kid, to see the leaves begin to turn and fall out of the trees. The color's spectacular, but it's almost a season in life that many of us are in. If you look at our lives as one big long, if you will call it year, we're probably in the autumn of our lives, a lot of us. Some of us may consider it spring, depending on our mindset, but really taking a look at some of that time to reflect, you are at your most powerful time now. Don't forget that. So I appreciate that piece as well. So in going big, let me start with Zach. How about yourself? What is a positive focus or gratitude you're looking at?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I'll keep the Ryder Cup gratitude going. I was able to attend with my dad on Ryder Cup Sunday. So he absolutely loves golf, golfs a lot during the summer, and it was hard for us to kind of navigate and get around and see things. So we sat on hole 17 for a few hours to hopefully see some good shots come in at the end of the day. And the first four groups of the match play didn't even get to hole 17. So we waited an extra hour just to see Colin Morikawa clinch the Ryder Cup by almost hitting a hole-in-one, and then Brooks Koepka missing one by about this much. But just an extremely special day with my dad and I, and it was a ton of fun.
Awesome. Thank you, Zach. How about yourself, Ken?
I too shared the Ryder Cup experience with you fine gentlemen as well. It's good for the sport. I got to share with my dad as well. Good for the sport. It's one of those sports that you can do pretty much, your whole life, basically, if you want to and you're able to. And there was a couple comments made from some of the spectators saying, golf is really interesting. And, it's like I pay money to be somewhat angry on the golf course. I thought it was kind of a funny comment. I find it a very peaceful place to be, even if we're shooting well or not shooting well. But nonetheless, it's great. And also, I want to mention my grandmother. She passed away last Thursday, 92 years of age, born in the Great Depression timeframe, born in 1929. So I asked her a couple of questions, what her life was like living through that. And she said if we had a loaf of bread, so bread and lard was actually a good day for them. And think about that. All the lard that she probably consumed, still lived to 92 years of age. So obviously it didn't affect her arteries as much as maybe it could have. So my gratitude goes out to the family and USA as a whole.
Sounds like a wonderful celebration of life, Ken. I know you told great stories about her and shared them with us, so thank you on that as well. And going back to the Ryder Cup as well, you saw a lot of the stuff that they were wearing was camouflage. I have a couple items on today, but I was really looking for the camouflage, but I just couldn't find it. Get it? Camouflage. Anyway, so pretty interesting to see when you're looking at a lot of the stuff that goes on today. What's really keeping us interested right now? What's on the top of mind? Well, you saw the last couple of days, some volatility in the market has gone on a little bit, but the hot topics now are really inflation, interest rates, taxes. The last couple of days, the rates have soared. They've gone from, really, really low to really low. So interesting to watch though. And I mean that in some jest, because again, the most difficult part of all this is just making sure you're staying with your plan. Next is also taxes and proposals. The Ways and Means Committee has given us some proposals for taxes, of course, that have gone into the committee now and gone into talking amongst the party, and they can't even decide upon it themselves. So there's still a lot to do to work through some of the proposals going on. but we're getting emails from all sorts of estate planners saying, we're putting on seminars about the proposed regulations. Let me ask a question. How interested should I be in the proposed regulations? I moderately look at the topics and say, okay, that's enough said. Until they're actually law, we don't pay as much attention. Jeremy Grantham came out yesterday and said something profound. He's GMO. He's a founder of this big firm. And he's been making for the last 5 years these statements. But he goes, I think the market is overvalued as it's been since 2000 or in 1929. And I think it's due for a massive correction in the next few months. This is what he said. He thinks a 10% correction will be coming in the next few months. That's what he said. So this incredible article you read about this huge headlines is saying that the natural order of the market in a year is something that's going to happen. It's not profound. That's just what happens. So interesting to look at. But you see a few of these things coming along that you can pay attention to. Also, retirement longevity. I just did a podcast of living beyond 120 yesterday. And it's interesting while doing those, a lot of people like to ask questions about super rich people. Well, what are the really wealthy? What should they do? What about people who work forever? What about people who found a vocation? And we talk about those, and it's interesting. But I say, most of the clients that I work with don't have a no clients have a $20 million Roth IRA. This isn't the scenario that we're looking at where this person's worth $1 billion, or what should somebody do in this scenario? People love to ask those kind of questions, but I say, here's what retirees should do. Here's what the ideas they should look at. So that's how we look at the world as we go through. Matter of fact, all the stuff going on, you can see COVID, other things. Don't get me wrong, we don't miss that. Being at some of the peaks in some places, starting to fall in other areas. So maybe that's a good sign that this peak could be over. But as somebody said, I can't remember who I was talking to, but they said, hey, I want to be like a skeleton. Well, why is that? Because nothing gets under their skin. So I would say, let's be like a skeleton when the stuff gets to us. And I think that's super important. So I'll use that. I've got a term lately called AGB, always getting better. Doesn't matter at what, but it's something. I think that's a mindset that we can all share. So I agree. There's an awful lot going on. The more you pay attention to, the more your concerns you have with it, the less you pay attention to it. Obviously, you probably don't know what's going on. And many of you have relied on us to take care of. So I want to make sure you understand we are watching. We are watching that as well. Well, let me go to some of the most important pieces we have today and bring Kristen online. I'm going to have her give us the housekeeping and the most important things you should pay attention to right now.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful morning, and for being here today. Here are the updates for the rest of the month. Today's Financial's Professional Development Day, and our office will have limited availability between the hours of 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. this afternoon. And on Friday, October 1st, it is International Coffee Day. So someone that you've thought about reaching out to, perhaps reach out to them that day and enjoy a warm cup of coffee and a hug and some love. On October 5th, we are very excited to be having our Gentian Financial Fall Forum again at the Blue Mountain Country Club, where we've had our events pre-COVID, and we're really excited about this one. Today is the last day to sign up for that, so please contact the office if you'd like to join us, and that will begin at 10:30 a.m. again on Tuesday, October 5th, and that's for our Gentian Fall Forum. On Monday, October 11th, the office will be closed. On October 13th, we'll have another bi-weekly update, and notice the time. The time will be at 9 a.m. And as you notice, today is 9:30, and we'll be going forward with a 9 a.m. start time in the future. Wednesday, October 20th, is a ladies and Gentian virtual event. That will take place with all of us women here at Gentian and our Gentian clients. And please we really encourage you to bring friends and family along to the event. The focus will be on a deep dive into true wealth. That begins at 10 a.m., Wednesday, October 20th. On the 27th, we will have another bi-weekly update beginning at 9 a.m. And lastly, on Thursday, October 28th, we will have another Health and Wealth Forum. We provide these wonderful forums for our clients and friends to learn about healthy ways of living. We care about your life and living it and having a healthy way of living, and Michelle Norris will be coming again. This one will be especially wonderful because it's enjoying the holidays and living a healthful life and eating healthy during the holidays. Again, thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Kristen. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. I think the beginning of her talk had a few other things. I think October, next week on Tuesday is our fall forum, which is great. It's National Coffee Day. There's a few things as well. So we appreciate that. Thank you very much. So as I go into today, there's a couple different things. I'm going to start with Zach. I'm also going to bring Mike on, where we do a lot of research. And a lot of research occurs here with a lot of the fund managers or groups or just interest groups, or even with Ed Slott and others. So what I want to do is I'm going to bring Mike on for a couple of minutes and start sharing what it is we're doing each bi-weekly period of time on just some of the research, because some of you are quite interested in that piece as well. So first of all, let me bring Zach on for the markets. So Mark, what's been going on with the markets lately, Zach?
Thank you, Chris. Nothing going on here. You can pass it over to Mike, let him get into it.
All right, but, perfect, good, all done.
But S&P 500 up for year to date yet 15.88%, about 4% off of recent highs, about 2.5% since our last webinar temporary drawdown. The Dow Jones Industrial Average 12.07% year to date. The NASDAQ 12.87. The Russell 2000, which again is tracking more small and mid-sized type companies, 12.91% year to date. On the growth side of those small cap companies, 3.93%, and the value 22.67. So very interesting to see there that the disparity between growth and value is still there. And also that even with the S&P 500 about 2.5% off of where it was 2 weeks ago, actually the exact opposite for small caps. So very interesting to see that small caps growth and value have slightly improved in the last 2 weeks, even though the S&P 500 did not. On the international side of things, according to the MSCI, ACWI excluding the USA, 4.57% up on the year, and emerging markets still lagging a little bit behind compared to where they are historically, and year to date down 2.35%. So again, when we look at this and see this, a big mistake that people often make is, emerging markets is still temporary down. The S&P or whatever market you're looking at is up right now. I'm going to get out of emerging markets and get into what is doing well. That's actually the exact opposite of what we want to do. So through rebalancing, it allows us to trim off some of the things that are doing well and purchasing more of emerging markets or others that may not be performing as well temporarily. On the fixed income side of things, slight increases based off of those interest rates that Chris was mentioning earlier. On the 1 year, we're at 0.09%, so about 1 basis points more than about 2 weeks ago. The 5 year, 0.96%. And on the 10 year, about a 10 basis points or 0.1% increase. The 10-year treasury is now 1.46%. And the 30 year is just under 2 at 1.99%. Something that's been really interesting to look at just over these past few weeks, we've seen more 2% type days, both on the upside and on the temporary downside. And it kind of sparked the idea of, well, how often does this happen? Is this normal? And just as kind of a reminder, we've been through this before. Over an 80-year time span, there's a 2% temporary drawdown, and it happens on average 14 times over the year, or very frequently. 3% side on average happens once per month, the 5% once per quarter. And on the 10%, like Chris mentioned, on the just the profound statement of 10% correction happens once a year for the last 80 years. And 20% once per market cycle. And we've actually seen it a little more often than that over the past few years. So very well done by you guys by sticking true to your plan. These are not only normal, but necessary for long-term growth and the success of a long-term plan as well. We just wanted to look back and see what was 2020 like as far as these 2%, 3% one-day drawdowns. And at the close of 9/17 trading day, September 17th, the S&P went 223 days, or just short of 11 months, without staying a one-day drawdown of at least 3%. So what normally happens almost every month or 14 times in a year only happened one time in 223 days, or almost 12 months. And during the temporary market correction we had last March, from end of February to the end of March, there was 12 3% drawdowns in 28 days. So that's how we get to the long-term averages, and it doesn't always happen very consistently. With that, I'll pass it back to Chris.
Awesome, Zach. Thank you. So I got just one question. So what's going to happen with the markets on a go-forward basis?
They're going to have temporary drawdowns consistently.
Okay. So what I hear is that more of the same. I looked at this as it's kind of funny, Zach, but I looked at this called I want to be an economic magician or an economic illusionist. I want to forecast what always happens that everybody forgets always happens, which is volatility. So you'll notice some of those things. I'm going to guess a few things. People are going to disagree. Some great new invention is going to come up. We might have some sort of sickness or pandemic. We also, might have, if you look at the market, may go up or down. Just kidding. But I love that when people forecast that kind of stuff as well. Let's see. So I'm going to bring Ken on for some of the planning ideas. What do you see? Ken?
Hello.
What's going on?
A lot of stuff going on, and planning is what we do. We love it here at Gentina. We love guiding you guys, and it's good to be with you all today if you're watching this. Otherwise, if you watch it later, great to be with you. First and foremost, I want to thank you for the introductions you've been giving to us. You're wonderful. You're very kind. You're great advocates for us. We appreciate that immensely. Whether it's clients that are getting ready or prospective clients that are getting ready to retire, or even your kids or grandkids that are starting to, have their money and get their money organized and get it planning for the future. It's really a wonderful thing. So, an honest comment that we hear from clients on a consistent basis that come to us in their 50s and 60s really goes like this: I wish I would have met your team 15 years ago. And that really just shows that, hey, look, you know what, we're here for you. No matter what your age is, no matter who you're finding out there that we could be a resource for, let us be your sooner, if you will. Let us be your 15 years sooner, if that makes sense to you all. So just wanted to say thank you very much for the introductions. You guys all have been great. We love you guys. And now on to the planning. So it's what we do. I want to talk to you a little bit about the time frames, that like basically the ages, the key ages when we talk about planning. What we're seeing here is a little bit of shift to people retiring a little earlier, more so than the 65, 66, 67. That was kind of like a traditional time frame to retire. We're seeing something a little earlier, and that's all the more reason we talk about not only investment diversification, like Mike touched on, who did a great job, but also like different buckets, like diversification of your investment buckets, personal accounts, IRAs, Roth IRAs, 529 plans, HSA accounts. These are all super important. So I'm going to share with you a screen really quick. I'm going to go through a few of the ages that we find to be very important, that some of us know about and some of us need a little refresher on. This is coming from Ed Slott, the IRA foremost guru in IRA planning. As you can see at the top here, that is not really a great way to show this page because I'm logged into our portal, if you will. But Ed Slott, America's IRA experts, we are students of them as well. So here, age 55, I'm going to go through a couple here. If you retire a little earlier and you need money, IRAs have a 59 and a half time frame and age. You have to be literally 59 and a half to access your IRA. That's actually the second one here. I kind of jumped the gun here. 59 and a half, you have to be age 59 and a half to withdraw from an IRA. Now, if you have a working plan, you have a 401k at work, you need to be age 55 or older to access those monies. So if you're planning for early retirement, and these are the conversations we're having, there's a really high chance that we say, and we guide you to say, hey, leave some money back in your 401k plan so we can access the money without the IRS 10% penalty that's associated with that. So that's a very important piece there as well. Age 70 and a half for qualified charitable distributions. This is the one where you need to be literally age 70 and a half or older, not just the year you turn 70 and a half, but literally 70 and a half years of age to do a qualified charitable distribution. That's a fancy word by saying, let's give to charities through our IRA. That's really what that means for all of us. Age 72, again, it's the year you turn 72. You don't have to be literally 72, but in the year you turn 72, that's when the required minimum distributions start for all of us for our IRAs, okay? Now, you can wait till next year, like the year after April 1st to do it, but then you have to take a double distribution. So we typically say in the year you turn 72 is a good time to be looking at required minimum distribution planning as well. That used to be 70 and a half. That used to be 70 and a half. Now it's age 72. So just wanted to bring us some important ages and key milestones in your financial life, if you will, to the forefront. And these are the things that we're always thinking about for you. With that being said, I'm going to pass it back over to Chris.
Awesome, Ken. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. There's a lot of planning ideas going on. Now, one thing we're seeing in planning too that's been quite profound lately is, and again, I want to also echo Ken's gratitude for the introductions. We have a lot of introductions, which are some people would call referrals, but you're introducing your family to us, your friends to us, and we really appreciate that. We work super hard to service them, just like we do you. And why we continue to grow the team is because we want to be able to take care of your families. We've had more families referred to us, from parents to clients, so from our clients to their parents to their children, and really working with them on a seamless basis has been a wonderful experience that we've been able to bring families together. So thank you once again for that. You continue to win awards in the industry because of your faith, trust in us, and your introduction. So I want to make sure you understand those awards are yours. We share them with you together as a team, all of us. So thank you. It's not just simply exclusive to something we receive. So thank you on that piece as well. But a couple of things going on. So also in the, I can bring in the future loop kind of an idea and the planning idea, I'll bring those in together. But in planning, we're seeing a lot of 40 and 50-year-olds leave the workforce. They were professionals in some form or some degree. We're seeing some retire as 50, 51 lately, 42. And it's not that they're going to leave and do nothing. That's the one thing I just talked about on a podcast called Living Beyond 120 is staying engaged most of your life. There was some research that showed that for every year you worked beyond 55, you lost 2 years in longevity. But at the same point in time, by staying engaged, you find out that increases longevity. So there's some conflicting data sometimes. Now, if you ever want to find conflicting data, just search the internet. I think that's its sole job, to confirm crazy ideas. At any rate, as you look at this, I think that happiness and staying engaged if you're in a vocation, it's very important. But I think a lot of people are getting out of something they felt, oh, I'm a lawyer, I'm a this, and I'm doing that because I have debt. I have to pay this back. I have to get to this point. But once they get to some point, they're realizing, do I really have to do this for the rest of my life? I don't want to. So what is it else I can do? So they're coming in to explore some of those with us as well. And that's not been a surprise, but we're seeing more of that. I know Ken and Zach, myself, Peter, the entire team have been talking about that piece as well. And how can we help people transition into something else they really want to enjoy and do and become their vocation, be it a pumpkin farmer, a teacher, getting a second, maybe they were, something they want to become a lawyer. That's happened as well. We have a couple of people with second careers and becoming lawyers. So again, there's a lot to do with it, but I would say today, with potential for longevity being as it is, having a second career or having a career that lasts 50 or 60 years may be a reality, or 3 careers of 20 years. Those are all possibilities depending on what some people look at. If you're lucky enough to find your vocation and you want to stay in it. I just talked to a prospect yesterday whose father's 87, and he's been a CPA for over 50 years, and he still continues to practice in Chicago. We talked to a client whose lawyer was 103 in a town of Janesville, passed away just recently, but was practicing law to his final day. So interesting to see that as well as we go through some pieces we've seen. Another couple of things that are going on too right now is we're seeing still a lack of people wanting to work in some of the service industries. We've actually seen some of the restaurants not able to operate anywhere near capacity because they can't find people to serve or cook or other roles. Some restaurants have been flipping it to where you go to the counter to serve yourself so they can still get the food to you. We're seeing a lot of adaptation, which is really interesting, but I'm going to make one statement here. Back when we were at Abundance 360, about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, maybe it was even 6, they all meld together. But I think it was maybe Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Eric Schmidt was at a dinner with Peter Diamandis. They were having dinner at somebody's house, and all Eric Schmidt said the whole time, robots are coming. Anytime somebody said something to him, he said, robots are coming. Why is that important? Well, let me lead this into Future Loop. So just yesterday, as I was looking at Future Loop, Pizza HQ, that's a Pizza HQ's founders, are building a robot-powered pizza chain of the future. There are no humans involved. So it's expanded their successful New Jersey pizza restaurant called Pizza Love, or it's a tech startup, and they're actually building it into no human beings to serve you. Kind of an interesting idea, isn't it? Mexico is sending game-changing robot vehicles to explore the moon. NASA is sending, when it comes to space travel and moon travel, I think they're sending 26 or 27 robot probes to the moon. The question we're having with the moon, though, is, are there borders on the moon? Who owns parts of the moon? Are there countries on the moon? Do we all just have, freedom to roam? What about moon rovers? There's a bunch of questions going on right now with those as well. Samsung wants to reverse engineer the human brain and replicate it on a 3D chip. That's kind of frightening, isn't it? So as you go through, there's a ton of potential deliverables right now for children's diseases with messenger RNA, proteins. Another one as well is CRISPR. You've heard of what CRISPR is? If you have a genetic defect, let's say like an APOE4 gene, which may have a little bit more propensity toward dementia, they may be able to go in and gene edit that completely out of your system. So these are things that are occurring and actually happening both in mice and third stage trials, and also in human trials where they have no other resource. So we're seeing some incredible pieces come across there as well. I've also seen genomic testing for personalized medicine and cancer. They believe within the next 5 to 10 years, there's pretty much no disease with artificial intelligence they won't be able to cure or battle. So I see as well, new gene editing technology could soon allow humans to live longer than 120 years. To go back to biblical times, it says a human shall live 120 years back in the Old Testament. But it's interesting, they say that we may be able to live longer than 120 years. And that's great, as long as we have health longevity, right? There's a few other ones as well for I think it was just a billionaire is creating a town in the desert, his own utopia. I think it's called Metropolis or something in this sense. And everything is going to be self-sustaining, including its own water and everything in this. So you're seeing billionaires with really crazy, quote, ideas, things that we maybe read from George Orwell or some of these futurists that are actually happening today. Last thing is, we watched just recently, if you've ever watched Jurassic Park. It's a really old 1980s movie or so, kind of funny when you go back to the technology, but back then they were talking about, there were autonomous cars, there was virtual reality. I mean, you go through all the things that are happening today, they had them in that movie 30 some years ago, and pretty close to the way we operate them today. So it's interesting to watch, but sometimes that foreshadowing occurs in those crazy movies that we watch as well. Hopefully the Terminator is not a movie that's foreshadowing of the future, but you'll see as you go through. Last one is, we just put in today, because it's kind of interesting, and I met this gentleman actually. Let me see if I can find that one again. The gentleman who started Atari, Noel Richardson, who I met at one of my programs, he's starting a new program, launching an augmented reality non-fungible token on Ethereum. I don't know what the heck that means, but Nolan Bushnell is starting this. It's a new classic arcade machines that are a marketplace. He's doing a non-fungible token that you can collect of his old Atari games, which is super crazy and funny and cool. This is the biggest one for us, and I just put in for this now. Amazon unveils Astro. It's an Alexa-enabled home robot on wheels. So essentially, let's say you wonder, did I leave the water boiling? This thing will actually go around your house. It's got a little bit of arm that goes up in a camera that will shows whether or not you left the boiler on. My question is, can it turn it off if it is on? You can go around the house. It's a security system as well. It can roll around the house to say, there's something going on, you're away. Let's check that out. And it has a camera. It'll go to your Ring doorbell account. So there's only a few of these available. It has to be by invitation only. We put in for one of those here to both have at the office. But interesting to see those kind of technologies emerging. It's called Astro. Like, remember the Jetsons dog's name? Astro. So anyway, some of those cool things are coming up in Future Loop. There's so many things that I could even talk about. They're amazing. They're happening every day. But what it leads me to end with is I am a hope dealer. I've been dealing hope a good portion of my life. It's been legal my whole life. I love dealing hope. I've got a lot of it. You don't have to go to Michigan or to Illinois to get it. It's something that I don't want to carry too much of because apparently, as Ken said, I might get arrested for having too much hope on me. Some people may look at me a little bit different, but I want to continue to be a hope dealer for the rest of my life. It's effective. It's probably one of the most important things to give us the reason to live. And if I can give a little bit of that just to one or two of you, some of you may not want to take hope, if you will. I want to continue to deal hope as much as I possibly can. So I want to make a commitment today to be a hope dealer. And I want to challenge you today to become a hope dealer yourself. Start this way. I want you to start by giving that thought that you had of gratitude to somebody else. I want you to actually say it out loud. The cashier that you operate with, and let's say you go to the store, hey, those nails look awesome. Things you thought but you didn't say. Because remember, gratitude unexpressed is ingratitude perceived, meaning you may have thought that, but you didn't say anything. I'm going to challenge you today to go ahead and actually say that. Could be to the person sitting next to you. Hey, listen, I really appreciate the way that you drink your coffee. I think it's awesome. Whatever it is, right? Say that statement of gratitude. It will help you and it'll help them, and the world needs it. So one small way to continue to be a hope dealer. Look for hopeful things. Know that there's always something better and that we can adapt to things that are obstacles in our way. So with that, we appreciate there. For Gentian, we are Gentian Retirement here from our whole team. We want to help you plan it, live it, and give it, and prosper at all three. Thank you on behalf of the team here. Please this week stay safe, stay positive, and be grateful. With that, have a wonderful 2 weeks.